Hey, it's Josh. I have recently begun to record and post some long form rants on the very popular social media app called TikTok. I am aware that not everybody is on TikTok, but many people probably would love to hear what I have to say on TikTok. So, what I am doing is assembling some of those rants in one podcast for you to listen to and probably disagree with and get furious at me about. I welcome opportunities to be furious at, and so I am doing this to facilitate this kind of anger. I would love it if you would listen and then like, comment, and subscribe so that we can stay in touch forever. I will pop in as we go to let you know the title of each video. And if you still want to see those videos without having to go to the awful app TikTok, which may be banned soon anyway, you can go to another awful app, and this one is called YouTube. All of my links are available at superjews.com. This first post is titled, Don't Shop Oligarchs. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. I think we have reached that point here in the good old United States of America. It feels like with the current situation with the CEO of United Health, and yes, I did turn towards the camera with a smile, and I did call it a situation because if you look online at any comment section related to what happened, pretty much the consensus is that he was looking for trouble and he found it. The fact of the matter is the disparity between the haves and the have-nots has gotten to a point that the have-nots are have-notting it. Now, there are definitely a spectrum of incomes in the United States and all over the world. There are people who are without homes, who cannot feed themselves, and there are people who literally could feed entire nations on what they're worth and instead use their money to go to Mars and to build ugly trucks. You know what I'm talking about, but there are others. Now, look, I subscribe to Amazon Prime, and my Amazon Prime is about to run out, and I am not renewing it. You know why? Not out of protest, because I don't need to have things delivered to me in 2 days. And if I did have them delivered to me in 2 days, the things that I'm having delivered, I don't need those things either. This is what we are being called on to do at this time in our existence. In order to combat, and this is an optimistic take, because I don't agree with violence, but I understand why it's happening. This is an optimistic take. We need, as individuals, to look at how we are living our lives. That is how to combat the oligarchs. We need to be okay with rejecting these corporations. We need to be okay with not having Spotify Wrapped. We don't need to know what the hell we listen to over the year. We don't need to tell our friends. You hear a record that you like, then play it again. You hear a record that you like, tell your friend. You don't need to be posting on social media, because when you are posting it on social media, all you're doing is boosting Spotify's profits. That is their scam to get you to do their marketing for free. We need to reconsider using Amazon. Now, when I got Amazon Prime, they give you that free Amazon TV or whatever. I have never used that. I don't use that. I don't have time to be sitting around watching whatever crap that they could dredge up as being their offering on Amazon Prime, because you know any movie you want to see, they don't have it. Okay? I want to see that movie. I just saw a Cybertruck drive by. Guys, ill. I'm feeling ill. People who were convinced to buy that piece of garbage vehicle, it just flaunts it in your face. It shoves it in your face like, hey, just so you know, there are plenty of dummies around you. You got to be a dummy to own that thing. You don't need Spotify. You don't need Amazon. The way to combat these oligarchs, I used to say to people, this is going back before Trump,
when people were like, McDonald's is poisoning people. To put McDonald's out of business, one thing needs to happen. To put McDonald's out of business, and I'm just using them as an example because I like a McDonald's now and then. Now, I would like it now. I don't even want it then. I want it right now. To put McDonald's out of business, all that would have to happen is the people of the world, the entire world, just have to agree not to eat at McDonald's for one day. One day. If we all agreed to not eat at McDonald's for one day, it would cripple them. And as such, to cripple Amazon, just don't shop there for a day. Global Amazon blackout day. Not Black Friday. Black any day of the week. If globally we agreed to not buy anything from Amazon for just one day, it would cripple Amazon. If we agreed as a society globally to not shop at Amazon for a week, Jeff would have a problem. That would be Jeff's find out period. Okay? Same thing with Spotify. If we didn't listen to Spotify, then there would be no Spotify. So it is an optimistic take. I know people want to fight fire with fire. This is my fighting fire with fire. I believe if you don't like a corporation and how they're treating the populace, then you don't shop there anymore. You don't listen there anymore. You don't eat there anymore.
Hey, it's Josh again. This second post is titled, Keep Your Self-Identifying Flags and Emojis. Not a protest, a test.
The difference between the pendulum being swung to the right, the timeline that we're in right now, versus in the past when the pendulum has swung to the right, is that the left, I'm not referring to left and right political ideologies necessarily, I'm just referring to how pendulums swing. The left is out and about. The left is seen. The people that in the past would have had to hide do not hide. In fact, I say we, as a Jewish gay man, we do not hide. We proudly display emojis that have been provided to us. Was there a time in the past when emojis were provided? Was there a time in the past when flags were provided? No. But now you have emojis at your disposal. You have flags at your disposal, meaning we are visible. It's right there in my bio. I have a Jewish star in my bio. I have a gay pride flag in my bio. I have donut and bagel and pizza in my bio. No, not pizza. Cheeseburger. I should put pizza in there. Donut, bagel, cheeseburger, pizza, because that's what I like to eat. What I'm saying is that even though the pendulum has swung right in terms of who is quote unquote in control, because if you are an ideological, philosophical person who thinks about existence in not, hey man, rise above it, or hey man, let me think my way out of this incredibly emotional, awful timeline we're living in. If you accept that the leadership or the regime that we are having to live under in 1 month from now here in America, and frankly, the world, because obviously there are leaders throughout the world that are also just giant steaming pieces of meaning that they do not care about the people, they care about themselves and their people, their close circle of people. They have placed their value in life on material wealth and whatever the accoutrements are of that material wealth. Now, I don't mind some material wealth. I'm talking to you on a goddamn phone. Okay, I just cooked up some diced hash browns on my goddamn stove. I have stuff, right? But we all know. Not we all know. Most of us know. If you're listening to this still, then you know that sometimes enough is enough, and it feels good to give stuff away. It feels good to help others. But currently we are on that rightward swing with leaders that are interested in not helping other people, but helping themselves under the guise of helping other people. Government efficiency. And we now see Democrats that are piling into the, oh, well, we'll just help the government efficiency. Again, it's good to give some away. It's good to not spend hastily. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about taking things away from people and ultimately making their lives more difficult. This will make lives more difficult. If that's not true, that doesn't come to pass. And my life is not more difficult, and your life is not more difficult. But especially people who don't have a stove, the people who don't have a phone, their lives are even made more difficult. Then that'll be the answer to that question. But we are seen. I have emojis: pizza, burger, bagel, donut, but more importantly, Jewish, gay. And I am proud to be Jewish and gay because you know what? I was born like that. I don't know what else to do. I am part of those tribes because I found out I was part of them. I didn't like my first words were not, I'm Jewish and gay. I had to find out later and come to an understanding of who I am. I realize that being a Jewish person is not inherently something you are born with as a physiological, biological makeup. But then again, isn't it? Aren't we born into the circumstances? Aren't we born into the culture that made us? We are. So accepting these things, like for instance, accepting these things is part of becoming self-actualized in life. And for instance, I would say that some of these awful people, if they could just say, I am a piece of I am awful. I am an awful human being. I would at least be like, well, you're just being you. So in that regard, I would love for some of these leaders, and I don't need to say their names today. I'll say their names another day, but I don't need to say them right now because it's Saturday morning and I want to say their names. You know who I'm talking about. If they could just come out and say, you know what? Look, I'm a piece of and I'm going to keep acting like a piece of I wouldn't have respect, but I would be like, okay, well, at least I'm dealing with one plane of reality. But for now, I just want to remind everybody who is not on that ideological right that you should continue to be seen, continue to put up those emojis, continue to put up those flags. Do not hide. And I'm not talking about protest. I'm talking about just test, meaning you have to be you. And if that tests other people to have to look at themselves and who they are, well, that's just too goddamn bad.
Hey, it's Josh, the other Josh, not the Josh you just listened to. Actually, the same Josh, but with a different microphone. This third piece is entitled 74 Million Votes. I wonder what the that's about.
74 million votes. 74 million votes. As we despair, because sometimes I'm despairing and I have a feeling that you are despairing too about what is going to happen in January when the new presidential administration comes in and how it reflects the awful tendencies of some people in this country. When I say some, I'm saying millions. But 75 million people voted for a black woman. A country founded in racism, a country founded in genocide. We must acknowledge this progress in order to simply maintain a sense of hope and optimism. Now, I have been told by many people recently, no hope, no optimism, equating optimism and equating hope with ignorance, with burying my head in the sand. delusion, etc. Something that is not delusional is 75 million votes. That is significant to me. That does give me hope. That shows progress. I used to weigh almost 400 pounds. I'm talking 380. If you go back in my videos, I've made a bunch of videos about this. I have been very hard on myself over the past 5 years about getting off that last bit of weight. So focused on that and that I can't get off this last bit of weight, even though I want to and even though I will, but so focused on it that it took a casual conversation with someone recently to remind me that I lost 150 pounds that I have kept off for 10 years. Like I didn't ever even thinking about that. Didn't even think like at any point, like, Josh, you've done a great thing. You got 150 pounds off and kept it off for 10 years. And that was after I failed with a gastric bypass surgery. I got a gastric bypass surgery like 20 years ago, and I lost some weight. And then I not only gained that weight back, I gained more back. So that was a big failure. Now, at that time, the insurance covered that. I don't think it would cover it now. But what I'm saying is, I gained that weight back. I gained more back, and then finally, I was like, I'm going to lose weight correctly, and counted calories, and walked every day, and did the things that a person who doesn't have a weight problem does. They just eat correctly, and they get a little bit of exercise. That's what you do now. When I got desperate towards the end and I couldn't get that last weight off, I started fasting for days at a time. And there's videos about that too. But what I'm saying is, we sometimes don't notice the progress. We don't acknowledge the progress. And that is the comparison I'm making because I was there. I didn't even think about, Josh, you've kept 150 pounds off for 10 years. Like I'm just busy worrying about like this other bit of weight because I don't see the number that I had decided I must see in order to give myself congratulations. And the fact of the matter is, based on what I'm telling you right now, that when that number does come up, I'll probably find something else to worry about. So we tend to fall into that. We tend to fall into this state of like, well, things just can't be okay. I can't acknowledge progress because there's just too much, evidence that we don't have progress. I got this weight, so fuck the weight that I lost. I still got this other weight that I still have. What we need to acknowledge, what I'm acknowledging, what I am saying that we should acknowledge is 75 million votes for a Black woman, where we're talking about 1965, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Black women couldn't vote. So it has been a short amount of time since separate water fountains, a short amount of time in human history. And we have had amazing progress. Obviously, we've had a Black president. We've had a Black woman get 75 million votes. That shows progress. When she says, we will not go back, I know it's a great slogan, but it shouldn't even be, we will not go back. It should be like, we didn't go back. We didn't go back because even though she did not prevail, the margin of the loss is very, very small. So what I'm saying again is, please cling on to this Klingon. I'm not even into Star Trek. So if you are into Star Trek and you're like, oh, you said Klingon, good for you. I do like Wrath of Khan though. The Star Trek movie Part 2, love that. What I'm saying is to cling on to the fact that 75 million people did vote for Kamala Harris. And while I like Kamala Harris, it could be any other progressive candidate who understands that we aren't the same people that we were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years. We are in a perpetual state of progress. We are perpetually making ourselves and our culture and our world a better place. But there are difficulties along the way, and we acknowledge them, we see them, and we attend to them as we go. So that is my advice to myself, as I often can sink into a state of depression. And if you want to take some of that advice, go right ahead. And if you don't, go watch Star Trek Part 2 or something, because